Ni akoma, akame koma koma intuaso. Are you courting? Are you courting for marriage? Are you interested in courting for marriage? We're living in a time and a space where we should be coming to the realization as black people that dating is not working for us. Whatever dating is, I can't even get a clear definition on what dating is from a lot of people. But as we teach at the Acoma House Initiative, that dating is for married couples. Dating is not the interview process that most people pretend that it is. So we want to focus on courting, and we want to court for the ultimate goal of being married if we're building nation, right? If we're nation building and we are looking to build community and nation, we are and should be courting for marriage, right? So if you're courting for marriage, there are 7 skills that you have to have, right? So overall, conscious courting is a skill, and it's one of the Super 7 soulmate skills that we talk about at the Acoma House Initiative. And within every skill is some micro skills. But within conscious courting, there are some skills that you need to have, right? So if you're serious about courting and you're looking to move forward to the ultimate goal of marriage, I'm going to run through the 7 skills that you're going to need to have. So number 1, the first thing is you got to have a court. Now this misses people because we've been conditioned to be in a individualism mindset and to act individually with all things that we do, because the value system of America and the Western world is me, 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 me. What works for me, what doesn't work for me, what I feel, what I don't feel, etc. But if you're courting for marriage, you are ultimately nation building, but your selection cannot be done by yourself. And this is something that a lot of people, is hard for them to stomach because they can't conceive that someone else would be involved in the process of selecting your mate. But the truth is, if you move out there and you see in the world, other people are always involved, helping you to understand a person, helping you to vet a person, helping you to even meet people that are appropriate and qualified for marriage, right? But specifically, a court is a group of men and women, ideally at least 2 to 3 married couples, that are going to help you matriculate through your process of nation building and marriage and nation building, I should say, in order, right? And it's very, very important because your court doesn't necessarily have to be family member. They don't even have to be people that you know intimately. I know that can sound a little off to people, but at the Acoma House Initiative, we help you with conscious courting, and even we have a standard letter that we share to help people find others that are qualified to be in their court. So even if you're observing people in social media space and they have great relationships, it is a way to recruit them on your court, because you're basically going to interact with them a few times a year, and then you have a reciprocal exchange of energy that you're sharing if they're going to be a part of your court. Um, so that's number 1. So it's conscious. So you got to find a court, right? Number 2, if you're a man, you got to know how to pursue. If you're a woman, you got to know how to position. These are 2 important things, because if you're a man, you're pursuing a woman for a relationship. But if you're a woman, you're positioning yourself. Women, you don't want to pursue. And men, you want to do more than position. You want to get yourself in the right pursuit. You want to make the right selection for the person that you're striving to be with. And so there is a set of goals in this. Now, let me say this for single people. I see my dear friend Manzio Horn is photobombing my live, right? But what you want to do is you want to be magnetic in your ability to attract. And this is a part that a lot of people miss. They try to invent a safe problem to have and say it's nobody out here, it's people aren't serious, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of people are just not magnetically attractive. And whether that means consciously or physically is the number one thing, or socially, or some kind of emotional interactive way of connecting, they are not magnetically attracting who they want to attract. So if you're single and you're not attracting who you want to attract, you got to change something about yourself. And it's usually, just to be straight, it's usually how you look or the way you're presenting, your style, etc. My man Chico was on here photo bombing my live, right? So number two is how you pursue and position. That's the number two skill. Number three skill is you got to align beliefs. And this is so important for a lot of us because, like, for example, a lot of men, we go out and pursue women that are beautiful to us, or we get smitten by women. And so we go on a chase, right? And we chasing them. But in our core beliefs, we don't actually believe in relationships. And this becomes problematic as the relationship progresses, because the natural assumption of a relationship that progresses is some kind of commitment. But for a lot of men, you're just smitten with a woman. You don't actually believe in relationships. And on the flip side, for women, you're wasting time entertaining men who don't actually believe in relationships. They might even believe in you, but they don't believe in a relationship. So that becomes problematic, because how are you going to build a relationship with a person who doesn't actually believe in relationships? And this is a challenge that a lot of people are having in their courting process, or in their, I don't even call it courting, but their hookup culture, because they're hooking up and then it quickly fizzles out after the initial newness of the hookup, right? The whole thing fizzles out because there isn't really a belief that this should go somewhere else. And so somebody is holding the bag saying, where is this going? And it's not going anywhere. That's where it's going, because you're dealing with a person who doesn't even believe that it should go somewhere. And even when you find people who may believe that it should go somewhere, they may have conflicting beliefs about what they're capable of doing. And so that's like, aligning beliefs is extremely important as number three. Number four, you got to align values. Because if you're going to be in a relationship on a daily basis, what's important to you? Is it spending time? Is it listening to music? Is it reading? Is it walking? Is it going out to dinner? Like, what values is the relationship being driven by? That's an important thing to know. And without that, a lot of relationships suffer, right? So in the courting phase, you have to be able to align values. And we show you a simple and systematic way to do that. Number five, and most importantly, you got to vet, right? So a person is presenting and you're presenting, and there's a supportive court around both of you, but then you got to be able to vet. We always talk about, why is it that you could buy a house with one visit? Why is it that you can buy a car with one test drive? Why is it you can go to college with one visit? Why is it that you can go to the military with one or two visits? And these are significant financial and time requirements of your life. Most car loans last longer than most relationships, right? If you have a 3 to 5 year car loan, your car has seen you be in about 4 or 5 relationships throughout the life of its loan. But why is it that we can enter into these long-term commitments with very little contact, but we can't, with very little investigative contact, but we can't seem to build a relationship no matter how long we stay together? Well, first, it's these first four things that I mentioned: finding the court, pursuing and positioning properly, aligning beliefs and aligning values. But then number five, we got to be able to vet. And the difference with buying a car, a home, going to college, or the military is you can't even begin that process unless you're pre-qualified. In the relationship dynamic, there is a lot of people who are entering into the dynamics of relationships and they have not been pre-qualified by anyone, and so they don't have the pre-qualifications. They're not even qualified to be in the relationship they're in. If it were emotional, psychological, and relational credit check, a lot of people who are in relationships would not actually qualify for relationships. You don't have the emotional credit, you don't have the socialization credit, you don't have the values alignment credit, you don't have the beliefs credit, and you're not preparing yourself properly to be in a relationship. Then, number six, it is accepting commitment, right? So we got to be able to know what is the amount of time that we go from vetting into commitment. And I'm saying on the quickest, most efficient way, it's about 90 days. But no more than double that. So no more than 6 months, no more than 2 seasons should it take you to understand that you found a court, you've pursued and positioned properly, you've aligned your beliefs, you aligned your values, you have vetted properly, and now it's time to commit. And if you can't do that in 6 months as an adult, you're wasting your time and you're highly unskilled at the whole dynamic of relationships. And this is the part where we really see through our work that people are so lonely in this time that they accept a lot of bullshit. They accept a lot of bullshit under the guise of it's something being better than nothing, and I'm not willing to give away something because living in nothing is horrible. It's fearful, it's isolating, it's debilitating, and a whole bunch of things. So people will linger in these relationships. But I say to you this: it's better to take 6 months to develop these skills, 6 months of alone time to develop these skills, and then get ready to mate at a high level, than to stay in these psychotic, dysfunctional ass relationships for 6 years, and all you get is a lot of psychological abuse, a lot of emotional damage, venereal diseases, unwanted children, financial debt, and all the other things that come with being in highly dysfunctional relationships, which are the norm. So you need to be able to move into commitment at the highest level. So that looks like engagement, cohabitation, living together, preparing to have a ceremony that's within your means, and then marriage. Or you could go right in, get married, and then a year later have a ceremony. It doesn't matter how you do it, but you got to be able to go to the end game quickly, the highest level. Because if you linger in this mediocre or partially committed era or space area without true commitment, then you deteriorate the relationship, and then it has an adverse effect on these other things. Your court, it's adverse effect on. It's an adverse effect on your positioning and what you pursue next as a couple. It then becomes an adverse effect on your alignment of your beliefs, the alignment of your values. Then you don't know how to vet what happens next in the relationship. And then you asked out. And now you just have accepted something absolutely whack because you don't know what else to do. And then you start to recoil to the mentality of, something being acceptable because it's not the worst of the worst. So then you start comparing yourself to the worst of the worst. Well, at least we ain't doing this. And at least we not doing that. And at least we not doing this. But what you aren't doing is comparing yourself to the best of the best. And what does it look like in a healthy environment for people to consciously court for marriage with these 7 skills and the amount of time that it takes, right? So then we come to the 7th and final skill, which really brings us back to the first skill of finding a court, but finding a community of alike couples, couples that are going to help your relationship thrive and survive. It's going to provide a men village for the man, because we are not always like women, and we need to fellowship with other men who understand our journey as mated and married men. It's going to provide the same thing for women, because women obviously are not like men, and we're not supposed to be alike. We're just supposed to be together. So you need a community of mated and married men. Soon as you start that, I mean women, soon as you start that isolation stuff, and you're letting a man who has adverse beliefs about relationships lead your direction and get into your head and tell you that you should not have community, you're doomed. Do you hear me? You're doomed. We work with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and have worked with thousands over these 25 years, and our reach have extended to millions and millions because of some of the media stuff that we've done, the national and international media stuff that we've done. So, you know, you can't be on an island. You got to have community of alike people that are going through not just dysfunctional buddies that go through the same kind of hell you go through, but you got to actually have people who are resting and thriving where you want to be. And you got to have people who are where you are now, and even some who you can serve more reciprocally that are where you used to be. And if you have a healthy, thriving community, you will look around and always see those things. You will see, hey, this couple is where we are. That couple is where we want to be. And these couples here are where we used to be. And so it gives you the reciprocal experience of being able to give and receive at equal propensity, so that you have balance and a sense of fulfillment around your love relationship. So these are the 7 skills that you need to consciously court for beautiful black marriage. Number 1, you need to build a court, and we show you how to do that in the Akoma Soul program. We even give you a letter that you can send to people who you want to be on your court, and position them for a mutual exchange. Number 2, you have to position yourself. If you're a woman, you don't pursue men, but you position yourself where men are. Do you know the states where black men marry the most? Do you know the 3 spheres of life that encourage black men to marry the most? Because from our observation, we only see 3 spheres of life that actually encourage black men to marry. Do you know what they are? Do you know where to go? Do you know where to be as a woman to position yourself? And men, if you are in the pursuit of a mate, do you know how the steps that you need to go about? So that's number 2. Number 3, you got to align beliefs, because you cannot be in a thriving relationship with a person who doesn't even believe in a thriving relationships. I don't care how attractive they are to you, what they got going on in their life. If their upbringing, if their environment, if their events, if their knowledge, if their future projections or past recalls don't help them believe in relationships, they are not going to be a good mate for you. Then you got to have number 4, the alignment of values, because that's the thing that's going to operate your beliefs, your relationship on a daily basis. Your beliefs about relationships mean a lot, but once you're starting to court. But once you are in the courting process, what you value and what's important to you about relationships becomes critical, and it has to be aligned. Number 5, you got to be able to vet quickly. And I say that men and women both are weak at this in general. You cannot vet if this is a person you should be pursuing. You don't know how to do it. You don't know what the steps of vetting are, and you can't verify if your perception of what you're vetting is accurate or not. So you got to be able to develop that skill, and we'll help you with that. Number 6, you got to know how to move into commitment, and not happenstance, not by arbitrarily, but through real arbitration that moves you to solid commitment, engagement, marriage, etc. And then finally, number 7, you got to have community. So these are the 7 micro skills that are within the macro skill of conscious courting. If you don't get these, naturally sometimes it happens in our youth when we're young, but if it doesn't happen, if you weren't in great environments and you didn't have great role models, what then begins to happen is your life starts to go, you're not having success, and then you start telling yourself all kind of ridiculous stuff. You're not saying, hey, I don't have the skill of conscious courting, or I don't even know that I should have that skill. You'll say people out here playing, nobody's serious, and da 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 da. And I always say to people, do you really think you're the only person out here that's serious? Do you really believe that in your mind? Do you really believe that nobody else in the world wants what you want in a relationship? It is 1,000,000,008,000,000 black people on this planet, and 2.65 million people get married every year. So how do you explain that? Now, this is in America I'm talking about, where I'm at. It's different in other places, but it's actually more in other places. It's not less. So if 2.65 million people are getting married every year, why are you walking around talking about you can't find nobody out here? Why are you walking around talking about nobody is serious? Why are you walking around out here talking about nobody is on your level? What's so special about you? And I'm not saying that antagonistically, like you aren't special, because you are special. But the truth of the matter is, you don't know how to court. And that's what your problem is. You don't know what conscious courting is. You out here, quote unquote, dating. And dating is a whole nother skill. That's something for married couples. That's something, intentional time spent. So married couples progressively grow together so they don't grow apart. That has absolutely nothing to do with the courting process of how you hook up with a person. You just don't have the skill of courting, and usually when you don't have the skill of courting, you proliferate in communities of other people who don't have the skill of courting. So you project onto them that they're not serious, but if you're so serious, why are you around them? If you're so skilled, why is the only people you talking to unskilled? It doesn't add up. So we got to stop the fallacious narratives about what's actually happening with relationships, and we got to deal with the art and science in black love culture of black love culture. So you're in luck, because this is our specialty. This is our vocation. This is our mission in life. And the Acoma House Initiative Culturally Based Counseling and Consulting Firm is designed to teach you the art and science of black love culture, so that you could win at your love relationship. If you're interested in getting this skill once and for all, if you're interested in mastering the conscious courting skill, I'm going to tell any grown adult this. It doesn't even take you 6 months to master. In 3 to 6 months, you can master conscious courting, and you can get out of this low level of interacting with people based on loneliness and dysfunction, creating these psycho-ass relationships that only last half a year. Or the good times only last half a year, and then the miserable times last 10 times that. And you look up and you spent 10 years of your life in something that had no future from the beginning, and you stayed in it only because you're afraid of being alone. If you are that afraid of being with yourself, What makes you think that someone else would want to spend a significant part of their life with you? So we got to stop playing, y'all. We got to learn the art and science of Black love culture, because most of this stuff is simple. It's not all easy, but most of this stuff is simple. And you can learn it like you learn anything else. Like you learn the skills of your job and your industry, like you learn how to drive, like you learn how to everything. But if you got these stinking thinking beliefs that says it's just supposed to happen naturally, no, baby, no, brother. If you 28 and older, it's not happening naturally. Happening naturally is from 14 to 28 max. If it didn't happen naturally, then it's not going to happen naturally. You don't understand something, and times are changing. The environment isn't changing, so you have to adjust and adapt and refine skills so that you can execute at a high level. If you can't do that, you're going to be out here hit, and you're going to be on the merry-go-round of dysfunction. And when you start looking around your environment, pointing the finger saying, this person's not serious, this person full of games, they don't know what they're doing, XYZ, you're actually talking about yourself. So get off that carousel, get with us, click the link, do a complimentary consultation so that we can talk to you about Coma Soul, so that you can get in the program and get conscious courting and 6 other skills, the Super 7 soulmate skills, which conscious courting is just one of. So if you're interested, get with us. As always, it's our honor to serve. Until the next time, greeting you in the words of the art and science of Black love culture and saying, Ni Coma. Let's get it.